The room smelled like roses and champagne. My sister, Lauren, stood in the center of the ballroom, glowing in white. Her dress caught the light just right. Everyone was looking at her, smiling, taking pictures. My dad tapped his glass with a fork. The sound cut through the music. "To my beautiful daughter," he said, holding his champagne high. His voice was steady, proud, like nothing in the world could go wrong. I sat at table 12. My hands were shaking under the cloth. I kept them in my lap, pressed them together, tried to breathe slow. Then my mom stood up. She smiled wide, the kind of smile she used when people were watching. "And to both our girls," she said, turning toward me. Her eyes locked on mine for just a second. "Some sacrifices are just part of family." I froze. People turned, heads tilted. I felt it, every eye on me. "What does that mean?" someone whispered from a nearby table. Lauren laughed nervously. "Mom!" But my dad cut in. His voice was louder now, firmer. "It means we do what's best for the family," he said. "Always." I swallowed. My throat felt so dry. "Dad, not here," I said quietly. But he didn't stop. He looked around the room like he was making an announcement. "We didn't raise selfish daughters," he said. "One needed a wedding. The other can wait." A few people chuckled, not many. Most just looked confused. Someone whispered louder this time. "Wait for what?" I felt my chest tighten. That familiar ache. The one that reminded me why I was supposed to be in a hospital soon. Not here. "My surgery," I said. I didn't mean to say it out loud, but I did. And the whole room heard. Silence dropped like a curtain. My mom sighed, long and dramatic, like I was embarrassing her. "Oh, honey," she said softly, shaking her head. "Don't make this about you tonight." Lauren looked down. She wouldn't meet my eyes. And just like that, I wasn't a guest anymore. I was the problem. I stood up too fast. My chair scraped loud against the floor. The sound echoed. "You used my fund," I said. My voice cracked. "You told me it was still there." My dad shook his head, slow, like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "We'll figure it out later," he said calmly. "Later?" I whispered. The room felt smaller, warmer, like the air was closing in on me. My aunt leaned over to someone at her table and whispered behind her hand. "She knew, right?" No, I didn't. I looked at Lauren again, my sister, my only sister. She said nothing, just held her bouquet tighter, and smiled. If you've ever had your own family turn you into the villain, you know exactly how that silence feels. I walked out before I started crying. My heels clicked fast on the marble floor. I didn't look back. People were still staring. I could feel it. But I kept walking. Out the double doors, past the decorations, past the fake smiles and the champagne towers. I made it outside before my knees started shaking. The cold air hit me hard. It felt like a slap. But what I didn't know was that this night wasn't over. Not even close. I didn't remember getting outside. The cold air hit my face hard. It felt like a slap. My heels sank into the gravel as I stumbled toward the parking lot. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I tried to breathe. In, out. But my chest felt tight, like something was stuck there. I leaned against my car and pressed my palm against my ribs. This wasn't just stress. This was the reason I needed surgery, and they knew that. I slid down slowly until I was sitting on the ground. My dress wrinkled under me. I didn't care. The gravel was cold, sharp. I could feel it through the fabric. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out. The screen was too bright. A message from Lauren. "Please don't ruin this for me." I stared at it for a long time. Then I laughed. A short, broken laugh that didn't feel like mine. "Ruin this?" I typed back. Then erased it. Then typed again. Nothing felt right. So I put the phone down. A memory hit me hard. My mom sitting across from me in the hospital office, her purse on her lap, her hands folded neatly. "We're putting the money somewhere safe," she had said. "Don't worry about it." I had believed her. Because she was my mom. I pressed my forehead to my knees. My whole body felt heavy, tired, stupid. If you've ever trusted someone just because they were family, you know how deep that kind of hurt goes. I stayed there for a long time. until my phone rang again. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick it up. Hello? Hi, is this Emily Carter? Yes. This is St. Mary's Hospital Billing Department. We need to speak with you about your surgery payment. My heart dropped. We've been trying to reach your parents, the woman said. Her voice was polite but firm. There seems to be an issue with the funds. I closed my eyes. An issue. Yeah, there was definitely an issue. What kind of issue? I asked quietly. We can't discuss details over the phone, she said, but we need you to come in as soon as possible. Your surgery is scheduled in 2 weeks and we need confirmation of payment. 2 weeks. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. Okay, I whispered. Can you come in tomorrow? Yeah, I'll be there. She thanked me and hung up. I sat there on the cold ground, staring at nothing. The wedding music was still playing inside, loud, happy, perfect, and I was out here, alone, trying to figure out how to survive. It didn't start all at once. It never does. It started small. When I was 10, Lauren got the bigger bedroom because she needed space. I didn't argue. I took the smaller one at the end of the hall, the one with the window that didn't close all the way. When I was 16, my college fund got adjusted so she could go to a private school out of state. My parents said I was strong enough to figure things out. I believed that too. I worked 2 jobs in college, one at a coffee shop, one at the campus library. I took loans, skipped meals sometimes, ate ramen more nights than I want to remember. Lauren called home crying about stress. My parents sent her money. I called once saying I was overwhelmed. My dad said, "You'll be fine." And I was. Or at least I pretended to be. Then came the diagnosis. I was 24, just starting to feel like my life was finally mine. The doctor sat across from me, calm but serious. He had kind eyes, but his words weren't kind. "It's not life-threatening right now," he said, "but it will get worse." I remember nodding like I understood. I didn't. The surgery wasn't optional, just delayed. Expensive, though. Really expensive. I stared at the number on the paper he gave me. It didn't feel real. For the first time, my parents stepped in. "We've got you," my mom said, holding my hand across the kitchen table. "We're setting up a fund," my dad added. "You focus on getting better." I cried that night. Not because I was scared, but because I felt chosen, finally. For months, I checked in, asked questions, tried to stay involved. My mom always said the same thing. "It's safe. Don't worry." Then Lauren got engaged. Everything changed again. Suddenly, the house was full of wedding plans. Venues, dresses, flowers, seating charts. My surgery got pushed. "Just a little longer," my mom said. "It's her big moment," my dad added. I didn't want to be selfish, so I waited. And waited. Until waiting turned into silence, and silence turned into tonight. That moment in the ballroom, that look on my sister's face, that sentence from my dad. One needed a wedding, the other can wait. Turns out, I was the one who always waited. If you've ever been the backup plan in your own family, you know how invisible that makes you feel. I sat in my apartment that night, alone, the dress still on, makeup smudged. I didn't cry. I just sat there, numb, trying to figure out when I stopped mattering. I sat in my car the next morning, engine off, staring at nothing. The hospital's words echoed in my head. Issue with the funds. I knew what that meant. But a part of me still hoped, maybe there was some mistake. Maybe my parents had a plan. Maybe I was overreacting. I grabbed my phone. My thumb hovered over my dad's number. Then I stopped. What would I even say? "Hey, did you lie about the money meant to keep me alive?" I let out a slow breath. This was the part where I always backed down, where I told myself it wasn't worth the fight, where I chose peace over truth. But this didn't feel like peace anymore. It felt like disappearing. If you've ever questioned your own pain just to keep others comfortable, you know how exhausting that is. My phone buzzed again. This time it was the hospital. A voicemail. I played it. "Emily, we need confirmation of payment within the next 10 days, or your surgery will be rescheduled indefinitely." Indefinitely. That word hit different. I sat up straight. 10 days. That's all I had. I wiped my face with the back of my hand, took a breath. Okay. I could fix this. I had savings. Not enough, but something. I could take a loan, sell my car, figure it out. I always did. But then a thought slipped in. Quiet at first, then louder. Why should I? Why was I always the one fixing things I didn't break? I stared at the wedding venue in my rearview mirror. It was still decorated, lights still up. They were probably cleaning up now, laughing about the night, posting pictures, while I was out here trying to figure out how to stay healthy. Something inside me shifted, slow, but real. And for the first time, I didn't feel like staying quiet anymore. If you've ever reached that moment where silence stops feeling safe, you know what comes next. I started the car, and I drove straight to the hospital. The next morning, I walked into the hospital. No makeup, no sleep, just determination. The billing office smelled like coffee and printer ink. The walls were beige. Everything felt clinical and cold. A woman named Karen sat across from me, mid-50s, sharp eyes, kind voice. She had reading glasses on a chain around her neck. "I'm glad you came in," she said. "There's something you should see." She turned her screen toward me. Transactions, dates, amounts. My heart started racing. "That account," she said, pointing with her pen, "was authorized under your name, but the withdrawals weren't made by you." I leaned closer. My dad's name, my mom's signature, over and over. Large amounts, thousands at a time. Then one final line at the bottom. Wedding venue payment, full balance. I felt sick. My stomach twisted. My hands went cold. "They told us it was for your procedure," Karen said gently. "We flagged it because the payment suddenly stopped." I swallowed hard. "Can I get copies of this?" "Of course." As the printer started humming, she looked at me carefully. "Do you have support?" she asked. "Family? Friends?" I almost laughed. "No," I said, "not really." She nodded like she understood more than I said. "You should consider your options," she added quietly. "Legally." Legally. That word hung in the air. I took the papers with shaking hands. They were still warm from the printer. As I walked out, I almost bumped into someone. "Emily?" I looked up. Jason, my ex. Great timing. "What are you doing here?" he asked. He looked concerned, not nosy, just genuinely worried. "Trying to fix my life," I said flatly. He glanced at the papers in my hand. "That bad?" I hesitated. Then, for some reason, I told him everything. The wedding, the money, the call, all of it. We sat on a bench outside the building. He listened, really listened. Didn't interrupt, didn't try to fix it, just listened. Then he said something I didn't expect. "Why are you protecting them? I'm not—" "You are," he cut in. "If anyone else did this to you, you'd already be taking action." I looked away. He wasn't wrong. "I don't want to blow everything up," I said quietly. Jason shook his head. "Emily, they already did." Silence. Then he added, softer this time, "You don't have to fight them, but you do have to choose yourself." Choose yourself. I had no idea how to do that. But for the first time, I wanted to try. If you've ever felt guilty for even thinking about putting yourself first, you know how hard that shift is. 3 days later, I got another call from the hospital. My surgery had been moved up. Not delayed. Moved up. "There was a cancellation," Karen said. "We can take you in this week, if payment is confirmed." My heart jumped. This was good, right? Then she added, "But there's another issue." Of course there was. I closed my eyes, braced myself. "The account tied to your insurance has been flagged for potential fraud." My stomach dropped. Fraud? "We've received conflicting authorization records," she explained. "Until it's resolved, your coverage is on hold." I felt the room spin. "So, what does that mean?" "It means," she said gently, "you may have to pay the full amount up front." Full amount. I couldn't breathe. I stared at the wall, at the calendar hanging there, at the days marked off in red. This wasn't just about the money anymore. This was bigger, messier, and somehow worse. Because now, it wasn't just my parents who took something. They left me in a situation that could destroy me. How much time do I have? I asked. We need an answer by Friday. That was 4 days away. Okay, I whispered. I hung up slowly. My hands felt numb. I had 10 days before, now maybe less, and no safety net left. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was damage. If you've ever realized the people who were supposed to protect you actually put you in danger, that's a kind of loneliness that cuts deep. I sat on my couch, staring at nothing. Then I opened my laptop, and I started searching. Fraud attorneys, patient rights advocates, legal options. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I couldn't do nothing anymore. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I spread every document across my kitchen table. Bank records, hospital notes, printed transactions, emails I'd saved. It all told the same story. They didn't just borrow the money, they used it. All of it. And they lied. I stared at my dad's signature on one of the withdrawal slips. So steady, so confident, like he knew I wouldn't fight back. Maybe he was right, because even now, I hesitated. My phone sat next to me, screen dark. I picked it up and called my mom. She answered on the third ring. Emily, we're busy. I know what you did. Silence. Then a sigh, long and tired. We were going to fix it, she said. When? I asked. No answer. Mom, I might lose my surgery. You're being dramatic. That word snapped something inside me. Dramatic. Like my health didn't matter. Like I was making it up. I have proof, I said. My voice was steadier now. From the hospital. Another pause. Then her voice changed. Sharp. Cold. Don't you dare embarrass this family. Embarrass. That's what this was to her. Not my health. Not the lies. Just image. I hung up. My hands were shaking again. But this time, it wasn't fear. It was something else. Anger. Clear. Cold. Focused. I looked at the documents spread out in front of me, then at my phone, then back at the wedding invitation still sitting on my counter. Reception. Brunch. Sunday 11 a.m. I wasn't invited anymore. But maybe I didn't need an invitation. If you've ever been told to stay quiet while others celebrated at your expense, you know that anger isn't ugly, it's clarity. I opened my laptop, and I started putting everything together. The music was louder this time. Dancing, laughter, lights flashing across the ceiling. The reception brunch was in full swing. No one noticed me walk in. At first. I stood near the back, watching. My parents at the head table, smiling, toasting again. Lauren laughing with her new husband. She looked so happy, like nothing had happened, like I didn't exist. I took a step forward, then another. My heart was pounding. Not from fear, from clarity. Jason's words echoed in my head. Choose yourself. The DJ handed my dad the mic. Let's hear it for the bride and groom, he shouted. Applause filled the room. Cheers, whistles. And that's when I moved. I walked straight to the front, right into the light. Conversations stopped. Music faded. My mom's smile dropped instantly. Emily, she whispered harshly. What are you doing? I didn't answer. Instead, I walked past them, straight to the DJ booth, and I plugged in the flash drive. The screen behind the stage flickered. Confusion spread across the room. Then, documents, bank statements, dates, amounts. My name at the top, their signatures at the bottom. Gasps, whispers. Someone said, "Is that real?" My dad stepped forward, his face red. "Turn that off." I didn't move. Karen had helped me prepare everything. Clean, clear, undeniable. But that wasn't the moment. The moment came next. A call recording played. My mom's voice, crystal clear. Use the surgery fund, she can wait. Silence. Heavy, crushing silence. Lauren covered her mouth, her eyes wide. My dad looked like he'd been hit. No one clapped now, no one smiled. They just stared. That's when the power shifted. Not because I spoke, but because they couldn't. People started standing. Some looked angry, others looked confused. My aunt, the one who whispered before, just stared at my parents. You told us she knew, someone said from the back. My dad opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. I stepped back slowly. I waited long enough, I said. My voice didn't shake, it didn't break, it was just done. And for the first time in my life, no one interrupted me. If you've ever had to become the villain just to stop being the victim, you know that moment isn't about revenge. It's about release. I unplugged the drive, and I walked out. This time, I didn't look back. The room never fully recovered. People left early. Some avoided eye contact with my parents. Others stared too long. I didn't stay. I didn't need to. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. My parents didn't call. Lauren sent one message 2 days later. I didn't know. I believed her, but it didn't change anything. I texted back. I know. That was it. The hospital case moved fast after that. Fraud investigation opened, emergency financial approval granted. My surgery was scheduled, covered, handled. Karen called me herself to tell me. You did the right thing, she said. I wasn't sure yet, but I was starting to believe it. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. Really breathe. I sat alone in my apartment the night before surgery. No decorations, no noise, just peace. It felt strange, but also right. Jason stopped by with soup. We didn't talk much. He just sat with me for a while. That was enough. If you've ever had to break your own heart just to save yourself, you understand this kind of calm. I looked at my phone one last time before bed. No new messages, and that was okay. Because for once, I wasn't waiting anymore. I wasn't hoping someone would choose me. I wasn't bending to make space for people who didn't make space for me. I was just here, whole, enough. The surgery went well. Recovery was slow, but steady. I didn't hear from my parents for months. Lauren reached out once more, asked if we could talk. I said maybe. Not yet, but maybe. And that felt honest. I started seeing a therapist, started saying no without apologizing, started building a life that didn't require me to shrink. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. If this story meant something to you, if you've ever been the one who always gave more than they got, just know this. You're allowed to choose yourself, even if it changes everything, especially then.